A brand new Grassroots racing series has gotten off to a great start. It's called the Super Sprint Series and caters mainly to the true amateurs, racer wannabes looking to get their first taste of organized motorsports competitions. We're back at the Hacienda Designer Outlet in Silang, Cavite for another motorsports event, another parking lot time trial competition. Drivers and cars line up for their turn, going through a course marked out by pylons and cones. The whole vibe, the sounds, the throaty growl of idling engines, the roar of revving engines, the squeal of tires braking or turning at the limit of grip, the PA announcer calling out driver end times. It's like most of the parking lot championship, autocross, slaloms, now in the final rounds of competition. But on this particular race weekend, the Hacienda is hosting a brand new event, the first ever round of Super Sprint Series. The newest Grassroots motorsports event aims to provide an accessible and pressure-free venue for members of all the clubs to race in a safe, controlled environment.
We created Super Sprint because of our club, primarily because of our club, Grupo Toyota. We want to entice more racers, more people to join us in racing para hindi sila mahiya, it's accessible for them. And then, kasama na namin sila sa mga ibang series na sinasalihan namin.
While Super Sprint envisions itself as a home of true amateurs, a starting point for those wanting to find out if racing is truly for them, it does allow for intermediate drivers, those with some experience competing in other grassroots motorsports events. Basically, there are 4 classifications for competition, from street, which is strictly for amateurs, to street modified, super street, and prepped. Super Sprint regulations define the levels of modifications and/or vehicle models allowed for entering each classification. Cars are also classed according to engine size. Class 1 for vehicles with engines 1.3 liters and below, 2 for 1.6 liters and below, and 3 for those above 1.6 liters.
We accept stock cars and people with no experience at all. Just as long you have a 3-point seatbelt and a helmet and that you're willing to learn and that you're safe.
During the inaugural round of the Super Sprint, the course layout was obviously not quite as complex or technically challenging as laid out in slalom or autocross events.
Our layout is it's simple, but then kailangan maging smooth talaga. Hindi pwedeng manggigil sa preno, hindi rin pwedeng manggigil habang lumiliko, pag understeer ka, hindi ka liliko. Hindi ka makakuha ng magandang oras.
The debut round drew a good number of entries, 80% of whom were true amateurs or real first-timers with zero experience in organized racing. Organizers happily noted, it drew a sprinkling of drivers with intermediate experience in motor racing. Many of the more experienced drivers understood their role in a series meant more for the true amateurs.
It's a good thing dito sa Super Space kasi mix we were invited also or we were allowed by the organizer na to run this kahit na for beginners siya kasi somehow makikita ng beginners kung anong difference ng somehow may experience, di ba? So they can ask kung for the tips, kung anong pwede namin i-share, di naman kami madamot sa ganyan. So for the better good of the drivers, yan ang gusto natin mangyari.
Among those who showed up for the inaugural Super Sprint round is Lester Shee, who found the event both accessible and affordable.
It's a great event today. We're holding it in Hacienda. The Super Sprint Series, it's open to amateur drivers, drivers who have no experience in racing. It's an easy setup. You don't need to spend a lot of money to set up your car. Unlike in circuit, you need to spend a little bit more. Also, it's an open event, meaning that any car can join. You don't have to be particular with the horsepower, with the suspension, or any setup. Autocross, Super Sprint is the best venue to start racing.
Also at the first round was Cody Lang, who's among the young guns making a name for themselves in local grassroots racing.
Itong event na to, it's for newbies kasi. And pwede rin siya for newbies and pwede for pros, mga may experience. Pero the layout kasi, pang newbie lang talaga. So, for the newbies, okay tong super sprint as a parang start, di ba? Para may experience muna ng ganitong course bago pumunta dun sa mga parang mga autocross, ganyan. Kasi mas ano yung track parang mas masikip, mas mahirap. So itong super sprint, kaya to ginawa for the newbies talaga para matutunan nilang paano i-maximize yung car nila, car controls, gano'n.
After an auspicious start to a fledgling Grassroots motorsports event, those who were there already looking forward to the next round.
Maganda yung naging layout dito of the organizers. So, sana ganito ulit and I hope mas marami mag-join.
Our next round will be on October 6, I think. It will be in Marikina. You can check out our Facebook page. It's search Super Sprint and then we'll post the details there.
It may be late in this year's motorsport season, but the debut of another brand new series that aims to encourage the true amateurs to try their hands at organized, safe and, yes, legal racing should certainly be a welcome development.